This is an audio recording of an X Space courtesy of thecoinrepublic.com, the go-to place where you can keep up to date with what's happening in the crypto space.
Take the first step towards online privacy. Get NordVPN.
This space was recorded on the 22nd of March, 2025. It features an interview with one of the crew from PirateChain.com. PirateChain, ticker symbol ARRR, claims to be the most secure and the most private of all the privacy cryptocurrencies. Enjoy. Decentralized money is really, really important for our freedom. And most important of all is private decentralized money. Now, I want to say before I continue, none of this should be taken as investment advice. Don't put in any money into any cryptocurrency more than you can afford to lose. We are just sharing and talking and giving our opinions. So, Daniel, from Pirate Chain, do you want to great that you're on. Do you want to just say hi and briefly introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name's Daniel. I'm a first mate at Pirate Chain. You guys may know me as the Johns on Discord, Telegram, and some other platforms. And yeah, I'm a first mate at Pirate Chain. I'm the guy who goes out and speaks to people and spreads the message of privacy and freedom. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for hosting us, Coin Republic. You guys are great. Really enjoying your website. So really appreciate you guys letting us be on today.
Yes, thank you. And I have a confession to make that I too am a first mate on the good ship Pirate Chain. And Pirate Chain didn't have an ICO. It didn't have a pre-mine. There's no funding held by the team or anything. It's entirely volunteer-led, decentralized. And so Daniel and I... Sorry, Daniel, we don't get any...
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, Oh, go ahead, Rich.
I'll come to you in a second. There's another first mate who's a listener, Amy, and she may not have seen the message that I've seen sent to her on Discord, but if she wants to become a speaker and join in the conversation, because we're going to be giving a general overview of Pirate Chain, but also the importance of privacy. So, Amy, if you want to join, please request speaker, and then you can come and join the panel as well. Daniel, over to you.
Yeah, like you were mentioning earlier, Pirate Chain is about as decentralized as it gets. We launched in the same way Bitcoin launched, the same way, the OG crypto projects in the early days did. We did not have an ICO or a pre-mine where insiders or investment firms got first access to the coins at a cheaper price. We launched just like Bitcoin. The protocol went live. The only way to get your hands on Pirate Chain was to either mine it or to buy it from someone who did mine it. There was no coins allocated to anyone. We have no centralized foundation or anything like that. We do have several teams that work on Pirate Chain, and Amy and myself and Rich, we all are volunteers on one of those teams. And yeah, that's how we organize ourselves. We are funded 100% by volunteers and by donations. There's really no centralized aspect to us. So I think we're really holding true to the ethos of crypto, especially what was true in the early days of having true decentralization, no centralized points of failure or people that can be pressured to change the protocol or something like that. We are truly open source, decentralized project.
Yep.
And
open source. People can check for those that have the training or the wisdom, they can check the code for the Pirate Chain. It's completely open. There's no hidden doors or anything like that, just like Bitcoin, decentralized. So, Daniel, let me start with this then. Why Pirate Chain? What's wrong with Bitcoin or Ripple or Ethereum? Or why do we even need a coin like Pirate Chain?
Well, when Bitcoin first launched, it was truly incredible technology, the way to have decentralized, money on the internet that nobody can control, nobody can stop. It's truly revolutionary technology that changed all of our lives. But after a few years of Bitcoin being in existence, it became very apparent that it is dangerously transparent. Like, we all love Bitcoin, not trying to, talk crap about Bitcoin or anything, but it became very apparent that having a transparent blockchain was very dangerous, where anybody can go, if you make a purchase from somebody, from a merchant or something with your Bitcoin or any transparent blockchain, that merchant can take or person you sent money to, whoever it is, they can take your address and really go look online very easily at how much money you have in your wallets, every other wallet you've interacted with. They can go and see where you've been shopping, what stores you've been shopping from. It can make you a target for criminals who can see how much, Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency you have in your wallets and, strong arm rob you to get it from you. And it also makes just analysis and gathering data on it by people who are adversarial towards us. It makes it incredibly easy. Like, transparent blockchains are less private than even a bank account, really. With a bank account, only the bank can really see your transactions. No members of the public can see your transactions, and if a government or law enforcement agency wants to see your transactions, they have to subpoena that bank. And some banks are better than others. But with transparent blockchains, everything's on a public ledger. So what privacy coins have done, we just found ways to verify the same data on chain, verify that the coins you're receiving or sending are real, they're not inflated coins, and that the transaction has gone through properly without putting that information publicly. And we find that incredibly important. It's the next big step in having decentralized money. We want it to operate like cash, where it leaves no paper trail of what you've been doing with your money, because we think privacy is freedom, and without privacy, you have no freedom, in our opinion. And that's why we find it so important to have private blockchains, especially when you're using it as peer-to-peer money, where you're shopping with it when you're actually using it for stuff.
Okay, now that's an important point you made at the end, right? Pirate, and the ticker symbol is R, R, and it's a coin. It's not a platform protocol like Solana or Ethereum where you can build things on. It is just value exchange. Like Bitcoin is just money, goes from one wallet to another. But as Daniel pointed out, that you can see all the transactions, see how much was sent. So if I were to give you my Bitcoin wallet, post my Bitcoin wallet for you to send me Bitcoin, other people can see how much you came in, and then they'll be able to trace it and say, that's where it's gone to. That's how much it's gone to. So, which is useful in certain points, but you don't necessarily want everybody, the whole world, to know how much money you have. Now, you said something about. Actually, I want to push back. I want to push back on you, because why? If people don't have anything to hide, then why do we need privacy? If you're not a criminal, then it's fine to let people know, is it not? It's only criminals that want to hide their data and stuff, and hide how much, they want to do transactions in the darkness.
Yeah, lots of people like to say that, yet they still close the curtains on their house. They still lock their doors. They still don't live stream themselves changing clothes every morning and showering. So deep down, they really understand that privacy is important. And what something like Pirate Chain does is it allows you can be as transparent as you want with Pirate Chain, but it gives you control of that transparency. You can choose with Pirate Chain and several other privacy coins also. We have something called viewing keys, where if you want to share your transactional data with somebody or your wallet information, you can just give them a viewing key, and they can look at your transactions and how much money you have in there without having access to your funds to be able to spend them or do anything like that. But they could see everything in there. So what privacy coins do is they give you optional transparency. Basically, you can share the data you want with whoever you want, and that way you have control about how comfortable you are sharing certain information with certain people. So therefore, if you're trying to pay some taxes to the government, and they want to prove how much money you have in there, and you're comfortable with that, of course, because it's all in your control, then you can simply give them your viewing key. Or if you're trying to get a loan from a bank or prove to someone you have the money to buy a car you're saying you are, you can share your viewing keys with them and just share the information you want to. So if you aren't a criminal, you don't have anything to hide, then you can put your information out there. But we've learned through several examples over the last few years how this can be used to target people that aren't criminals. The Canadian trucker protests were one of them. In Canada, they have the right to protest. It's been where they're a Western country that has long held the right to, address grievances to their governments publicly. And what happened during the trucker protests is these truckers were trying to organize these protests, and people were sending them money, and they were getting their bank accounts shut down, and then they were going after the people that sent the money, because all that information they have access to, and they were targeting these people for their political beliefs. And maybe in Western countries it's hard for us to understand, but in other parts of the world where they don't have the freedoms and rights we do over here, can be life or death for them. I've heard stories of people in Afghanistan using privacy coins to pay for education for their daughters who aren't allowed to have access to education there, or political dissidents who are trying to speak out against their government, trying to fund their reporting or their organization. Like, that people can't donate to them safely, because with any other form of payment besides privacy coins, there's literally no other way for them to get money to these people to help them fight for their rights, fight for their freedoms, in a lot of cases fight for their lives. there's no other way to do it besides privacy coins. There's literally no other technology out there that can give you this kind of privacy and decentralization that cannot be stopped by a centralized entity. So just because you feel safe in your country and where you live, and you feel safe sharing your information with everyone else, that does not mean that's the case for the entire rest of the world. And we need those of us who, do have some levels of freedom. We really need to share that with the world and give them the tools that they can use to find freedom and find prosperity in their lives.
Yes, and it's a really, really great point. And I know you're in the United States. I am in the UK, and our Prime Minister, as well as the EU leadership, are marching towards more and more authoritarianism, more and more control over our money and our finances. The EU has announced that they're going to be issuing a central bank digital currency in October, which allows the government to control everybody's finances. So they'll be able to take money in and out of your wallet without necessarily going to court or anything, at will. So that's the antithesis, the very opposite of what Pirate Chain represents. Now, we may talk about CBDCs a bit more, and we are going to come on to what's so special about Pirate Chain. But there's something you said earlier, which you and I have discussed before, and I've said on my channel as well, in many, many videos. Without privacy, there is no freedom. But I was thinking about that. It's like, why? How come? Why is that? Like, philosophically, what's the case for that? That without privacy, there's no freedom. Do you want to say something about that, Daniel?
Well, with if you don't have privacy, I mean, it's the same way that if you leave your curtains open on your house, a lot of people say they don't need privacy, yet they shut their curtains on their house when they're doing private things in there. And you
Or
could,
Daniel, sorry, just to keep it in the digital space as well, right? Because people may not do that. If people were to give away the password for their email account, so everybody who's watching, don't really do this. Please post your email address and the password for your email address. And that sort of illustrates this point. But don't really do that. Okay?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that really highlights how, ridiculous it is to assume that you don't need privacy in your financial transaction. Your financial transactions are some of your most personal, private information that you should take. If you aren't taking it seriously, you definitely should, because it's a dangerous vulnerability that can be used to attack you. It can be used to judge you. It can be used to share information to the public that you're not comfortable with them seeing, and that information can be used against you. You can't have the right to do all the things you want to do if everybody is watching you and everybody is judging you. And frankly, they're finding ways that they can stop you. They are finding ways they can prevent you from accomplishing the things you want to do, or just living your life the way you want to live, because they have access to everything about you. Imagine if they knew all your medical records or something like that, or knew what kind of allergy you have. If you're just publishing your medical records online, they might know you have a peanut allergy. Somebody could easily, put some peanut extract into your drink or something and harm you or potentially kill you. And it's the same with your private financial transactions. They can see where you're spending money. They can use that to attack, those businesses you're spending your money with, or the people you're sending money to. And just like the example of the Canadian trucker protest, they can
Well,
see that you're Oh, go ahead.
so I think just listening. I think what privacy does, what privacy cryptos does, is it equalizes the power imbalance. So if for example my email account or my financial account was open to everybody, and everybody's email account was open, those that have more power would be able to abuse that information for their own advantage. Whereas,
Exactly. And they, oh, go ahead.
whereas you and I, that don't have the power that say governments have, or billionaires have, or spy agencies have, we can't, we're then at risk of being victimized by them. And privacy
Exactly.
cryptos prevent that. It restores the power imbalance.
Yeah, exactly. They can really use your private data, and this isn't just your financial data. This is all the data you put out on the internet. They can really use that to manipulate you. People have to understand how susceptible we are to, marketing or propaganda. They've got this stuff down to a science, and the more data they have about you, the more they can use that to take advantage of you or sway your opinion or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm not trying to get political here or take any political sides, but how Donald Trump got elected his very first time was, most of the political analysts attribute it to his work with Cambridge Analytica. They're an analytical firm, and they basically scoured the internet for all the data that people are putting out publicly and use that data to drive, his message towards, what he thought people would vote for him with, things that were important to those people. And that doesn't necessarily mean that he enacted all those things that were important to people. He just used that information to manipulate people and see what kind of buzzwords would get them to vote for him. That doesn't mean after he gets in office he'll do whatever he's told, whatever he promised, but that's what he used to manipulate people. And I know there's a lot of people that feel strongly about Trump on both sides. So I think a lot of people who really dislike Trump got to think about the data they're putting out there every single day, because by publishing all that data on social media and their financial transactions everywhere, they helped him accomplish. They can use that information to manipulate you and do things that people that hate you can use that information to harm you. And I think the more and more time goes by, the more we're realizing that, and the more evidence there is of that the information we're putting out on the internet is dangerous, and people need to really take a step back and look at what they're doing and use some of these privacy tools that have been built, these open source privacy preserving technologies, not just in cryptocurrency, in the broader technological space. Start taking advantage of these, because you can still have the convenience that technology and the internet brings you, but you can gain a whole nother level of privacy by using these. And there's some incredibly smart people that are working, a lot of them doing it for free, putting out free open source technologies that you can use to still stay online and still, be efficient by using technology, but maintain some of that privacy so that people that hate you don't use it against you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And next week on this X Space Crypto Pulse with CoinRepublic.com, I'll be hosting a space with another project which is all about protecting your data online. So thank you very much for that, Daniel. Let's have a look at Pirate Chain. It was launched I think in August 2018, and I started covering it on my channels in September 2018. Open source, proof of work. The code was released and people started mining it. It doesn't use ASICs. It uses GPUs.
No, it does use we're ASICs. Pirate uses ASIC.
Okay.
Yes.
But it's also GPU mineable as well. But it's a proof of work coin. No?
You broke up a little bit there, but yes, we're ASIC. We are not ASIC resistant. We find it. We took the path of allowing ASICs, and we think that's a superior path. I could elaborate on that later if you'd like me to.
Sure, we don't want to get too technical. I don't want to get too technical. Okay, but it's open source, proof of work. So what is it about Pirate Chain that makes it so private?
Well, before, so we use a technology called zero knowledge proof, specifically ZK snarks. And before ZK snarks was released, and privacy coins got their privacy using obfuscation. They basically took your transactions and mixed them up with other transactions. But that transaction information was still public on the blockchain, except you couldn't tell what were the real transactions and what were the decoy transactions. What zero knowledge proofs did is a way that we can verify all that same information and feel it's reliable, and know it's reliable, prove that these are real coins you're spending and stuff like that, without revealing any of that information. The example we like to use when we're giving presentations and stuff is, imagine you have a Where's Waldo book, and I'm sure everybody knows what Where's Waldo is. Imagine I have a Where's Waldo book, and I also have a piece of paper with a small hole cut in the middle of it. And I take that piece of paper and I set it over Waldo, and then I can show you that paper in that book, and I can prove to you that I know where Waldo is without revealing any other information about Waldo, without revealing his location or any other information with him. But you can confidently know that I know where Waldo is because I'm only showing that information. So that's the analogy we like to use with Pirate Chain. We can prove these coins are real and that they're not inflated coins, and that it's a valid transaction without actually sharing any of that information public. And this gives us incredible privacy. There's far less vulnerabilities because of none of the transactions are public, the real ones or the decoys. Well, we don't have decoy transactions, but we don't have to have decoy transactions because none of that is available. It's a far more simple and elegant solution, in my opinion. Other privacy coins have had to jump through a bunch of hoops and make changes and do UTXO locks on them where you can't spend your money for like 10 blocks because privacy vulnerabilities kept popping up, where people could identify what transactions are decoys, or at least rule out some of the transactions as decoys, and make guessing what the real transaction is a lot easier. With Pirate Chain, it's a very elegant solution, very simple, elegant solution where our end users don't have to jump through any hoops. They literally could just download a wallet and use it and get the utmost privacy, especially if you're using it with a VPN. If you use VPN with a Pirate Chain wallet, you're getting utmost privacy out of the box, and it's as simple to use as any other, proof of work blockchain like Bitcoin or Litecoin or anything like that. You just scan a QR code, enter the amount you want to send, and hit send. You don't have to jump through any hoops. You don't have to wait a while to send another transaction. And what I find really incredible is with Pirate Chain, we don't have the vulnerabilities with light wallets or mobile wallets that a lot of other privacy coins have. Because when you're not running a full node wallet, a full node wallet's where you download the entire blockchain to your computer. You can't really run them on a phone or something like that. So all mobile wallets you're using a light wallet. Basically, whoever's running that wallet for you is running a light wallet node. We are on like Edge App, so Edge App's running a light wallet node for Pirate Chain. With other blockchains, when you're using a light client like that, you're connecting to someone else's node. There are certain vulnerabilities in there where they could, if the person hosting that node is malicious, they can collect data from you, not just transactional data, but other data, from your IP address and stuff like that. But they can use that. If they can convince you to use their malicious node, then they can, basically figure out what transactions are reals and what are decoys. With Pirate Chain, since we're not using any decoys or anything like that, you can feel confident that the people running the light wallets don't have access to it. Even if they are malicious actors, they don't have access to that data because we use zero knowledge proofs. And most people nowadays aren't running full node wallets. Most of them are using mobile wallets, and especially when you're trying to be a peer-to-peer currency we're using to buy stuff from merchants, whether online or in person. Of course, you're going to use a light client because you don't want to download an entire blockchain to your phone. And so I think it makes it way more simple to use. You just have to download a Pirate Chain wallet, and you can feel confident that your transactions are private without having to jump through any extra hoops or do anything like that.
Yes, and the website for people that are interested is piratechain.com, piratechain.com. And let me break that down a little bit, right? Because, there are people listening from all over the world, and they may not know about Where's Waldo. In the UK, it's Where's Wally, and I don't know what it might be in Germany or India. But another way of looking at it is, if I'm going to send you some crypto using another privacy cryptocurrency, and I'm sending you X amount, and what the other cryptocurrencies might do is send lots of dummy transactions, so that as well as X, it looks like I'm sending A and B and C and D, and you can see all these transactions on the blockchain. But it's possible to eliminate over time which ones are the dummy transactions, so you can actually find out what the real transaction was. The other thing that happens is that let me just say how Pirate Chain works. There's no data on the blockchain. Nothing to analyze. So I'm going to send you X amount. Only you and I know that this transaction is taking place. It's a little bit like you and I, we meet in a room with blackout curtains. I hand you cash, except the room is completely dark, but you're able to see the cash or check the cash that I give to you. So nobody else knows what's going on. Nobody can see into the room. It's black anyway. There's no light. Pirate Chain is that private. And one of the things that happens with many of the other privacy cryptos, like Zcash, is you have an option for transparent transactions. So I might send 10 transactions, and 7 of them are public. 3 of them are private. It is possible now, through a process of elimination, to actually work out what the private transactions are. With Pirate Chain, there's no option for public transactions. They're all private. And one of the things that I did a few years back is I posted a transaction ID on my X account. And I said, if you can tell me how much was sent, the date and time that it was sent, the address that it went from, and the address that it went to, you can have the amount. Nobody guessed it, which was good for me because I got to keep the Pirate Chain coins. I didn't have to give them away to anybody. It's that private. Now, I said there's no data on the blockchain. There is data on the blockchain for the coins that are mined, because it's a proof of work coin. So you can see the first coins that are created. And that's to make sure that there's no such thing as a magic money machine, as Doge are saying that they've uncovered as part of the government, fraud that's going on, the fraudulent money printing that you're having. Secret, people are able to just gen up money freely. You can't do that with Pirate Chain. For auditing purposes, you can see the first coins as they're mined, but then they go into a wallet. You can't look into the wallet, and then after that, everything is private. Anything you want to say that I've missed out there, just to follow up on that, Daniel, before we go on to the next thing?
Yeah, the it's called the Coinbase transaction. That's the initial transaction of the newly minted coins to the miner that completed that block. Those are the transparent transactions on Pirate Chain, and we use those for auditing purposes, so anybody can go, through the block explorer and verify that there's the correct amount of coins in circulation that we say there are. So but after that initial Coinbase transaction, the rest of the transactions are completely private. So that's how we that was a big problem in the early days of privacy coins, is how do we audit these to ensure there's no extra coins, and that's how we do it at Pirate Chain.
Yep. Now, there's something else about Pirate Chain it has, which not necessarily all the other privacy cryptos have. Some do, some don't. Which is that it can't be attacked through a proof of work? I forget what they're called now.
51% attack.
That's it. Thank you. A 51% attack, because this is a proof of work coin. If you and I were to get together and take control of 51% of the mining power, we would then be able to print extra coins or do a double spend attack. But there's something about Pirate Chain that makes it completely resistant to that. Do you want to speak to that, please?
Yes, this is what we call delayed proof of work, and this means that Pirate Chain's blockchain is not only protected by Pirate Chain's hash power, it's 100% independent blockchain. We could operate completely by ourselves. We're not dependent on these other chains at all. But the hash from the Pirate Chain blockchain is also notarized to the Komodo blockchain and to the Litecoin blockchain. So this means in order to get 51% attack Pirate Chain, you would have to have 51% of Pirate Chain's hash power, 51% of Komodo's, and 51% of Litecoins. We all know Litecoin is one of the biggest coins out there. It has insanely high hash power and would be incredibly expensive, if not impossible, to 51% attack Litecoin. So that gives us protection from that. And we get this from Komodo, which is kind of the ecosystem Pirate came from. It was a lot of Komodo developers that first had the idea to launch a fully shielded ZK Snarks chain. And so we got that benefit of it. There are a few other chains out there that launched on Komodo that also have this, but Pirate Chain is the only privacy coin. So we have, regardless of what our personal hash power is, we have quite a bit of hash power behind us protecting our blockchain. So you can be confident that we're far less vulnerable to 51% attacks than just about any chain out there, or probably any chain out there. I'd argue that we are the most 51% attack resistant, which is incredible technology and just a little bonus to Pirate Chain, I guess.
No, I don't think I explained it very well. What is a double spend attack, and what is the risk of a double spend attack?
A double spend attack, it's basically where you could send a transaction, and then, if you're buying something in person or something, you could send a transaction and then basically reverse the transaction quickly and get the money back and then spend that money again. So that's why they call it a double spend. Oh. And that is a vulnerability of a 51% attack. That's something else they could do with it. A 51% attack, they could basically do anything they want with the blockchain. They could print more coins. They could double spend the coins. They could do whatever. It basically gives them control of whatever entity or group of people were able to get that much hash power together to 51% attack. It gives them control to do that also. So that our delayed proof of work also gives us protection against those double spend attacks. And also the fact that Pirate Chain is private, and this is probably true with most privacy or fully shielded privacy coins. They have a lot more protection from double spend attacks and also just from miners. So there's a big problem with proof of work blockchains, or the big concern that a lot of people bring up when they talk about Bitcoin or other proof of work blockchains is the mining becoming centralized. As time goes on, more and more people are joining the same mining pools, and that essentially, when you join a mining pool, you're essentially just giving your hash power to someone else, to this pool. You're not the one that's actually creating the blocks. You're just giving the hash power to the mining pool. They're creating the blocks, and they're splitting up the reward amongst everybody. And people are concerned that as time goes on, if it only comes down to a handful of miners that have most of the hash power, then they could receive pressure from institutions or governments or something like that to censor transactions, because they could do that. If there's only a handful of miners, the government could go to them and say, hey, you need to censor any transactions going to or from these addresses, and give them to them. And they set up, basically a bot in their software that whenever transactions are going to and from that address, they just kick them out of the mempool. They kick them out of the transactions. But with privacy coins, we have far more resistance to that. It's actually impossible with something like Pirate Chain. But all privacy coins have more protection against it because those miners cannot see the addresses that the coins are going to and from. So if the government gave them, a list of wallet addresses to sanction, they literally I don't know what transactions those are. I can't censor them. I can't see them, so I can't censor them. So it's far less of a centralized mining is far less of a concern with Pirate Chain than it is of the other currency. And the way CK Snarks and Pirate Chain is set up, in fact, if they tried to exclude a transaction, which they wouldn't because they don't know what transaction to exclude, but suppose they did, they would invalidate the entire block, and that miner would not be able to submit the block and get the reward from it. So that's something that a lot of people don't talk about. They talk about it with Bitcoin a lot, but I don't think it gets brought up enough with privacy coins like Monero and Pirate Chain, that we literally cannot be censored by these miners. So centralized mining still isn't ideal, but we have far more resistance to it than any transparent chain out there because they literally cannot censor the transactions.
Yes. And the thing about the double spend attack or the risk of double spend is it completely undermines the very essential nature of blockchain. See, when Satoshi Nakamoto, he had to deal with, he or she or they had to deal with the problem of double spend with digital goods. So, for example, I'm going to be posting this as an MP3 on my channels in a few days' time, and the Coin Republic are going to post this on their website. It's possible to duplicate this recording many times over. Or if you send me a PDF or a Word document, I can duplicate that many times over. You can't, if you do that with money, you collapse the money because it loses purchasing power because the supply increases so much. So how can you have digital money that is decentralized, that can't be copied? How it's done with the pound and the dollar is it's centralized and controlled so that only the issuers can issue anymore. We can't. But with decentralization, how do you deal with that risk? And that's addressed by solving the double spend problem. That you can't create more Bitcoin, you can't create more Pirate Chain unless you can able to take control of more than 51% of the computing power. Now, let's say I've got 10 million pounds and I'm able to take it would take a whole lot more. I'm able to take control of 51% of Litecoin's mining computing power, then I'm able to do double spend. I would then need more money on top of that to then take control of 51% of Komodo's computing power. I would then need more money on top of that to then take control of 51% of Pirate Chain's computing power. Well, I'd be better off just taking 51% control of Litecoin's computing power and then printing loads of Litecoin, going to different exchanges, and then selling that for Pirate Chain. It's the Pirate Chain's delayed proof of work makes it so unviable. It's so economically expensive to try and double spend Pirate Chain. It just ain't worth it, which makes Pirate Chain incredibly secure and which adds to its privacy features because it can't be captured that way. It remains decentralized, open source, private money. Now, a few other features about Pirate Chain. Do you want to run actually, before we do that, I just want to say, again, the website is piratechain.com. And on that website, you can find the different wallets if you want to download it. You can find the different exchanges that it's available on, including non-KYC centralized exchanges, but also a decentralized exchange, fully decentralized open source exchange, which is the I forgot the Komodo. Not Atomic Wallet. The Komodo.
Called Komodo Wallet now. Komodo Wallet. They used to be called Atomic Dex. Now they are called Komodo Wallet.
Komodo Wallet. Do you want to just say a little bit about that? What's so great about that, and why the advantage of using that for people to get Pirate Chain?
Yeah, what Komodo Wallet uses is something called atomic swaps, which they are by far the most decentralized way to trade cryptocurrencies, to get in and out of certain cryptocurrencies. You don't deposit your money to a normal exchange like Coinbase or any other centralized exchange out there. You deposit your coins to them, and they hold on to them. Then you do trade. They have an account of it. They basically have a balance sheet with how much coins every account holds. And then you go and do your trading on the platform. And then once you're ready to withdraw, they give you the coins back. But as we know, with FTX and 100 other exchanges that collapse. A lot of times they take that money and they spend it on something else, and or they make investments themselves with it that end up, not paying off. And then they don't have all the coins they say they do. So when people try to go withdraw, they just don't have the coins, especially if a lot of them try to do it at once. They all go try to withdraw their coins at once. It's the same as a bank run. They don't have enough money to pay everybody, and that's what happened with FTX. With an atomic swap, you're basically setting up your own wallets on there and depositing coins into a wallet that you control. Nobody else controls them. You get a seed phrase with it, just like you do any other cryptocurrency wallet. And then when you're trying to swap, say you're trying to buy some pirate chain with Bitcoin, your Bitcoin goes to the other person's Bitcoin wallet, and their pirate chain goes to your pirate chain wallet. No intermediary, and nobody that can stop it. And it is truly the best. It's different than a liquidity pool DEX that's on like Ethereum or Solana or something like that, because it is cross-chain. You don't need on Uniswap. On Ethereum, you can only trade tokens that are on Ethereum. You can't trade Bitcoin on Uniswap. A lot of people think you can because there's something called wrapped Bitcoin on there, where essentially you give your Bitcoin to a person or a group of people, and they hold on to that Bitcoin, and they give you a token on the Ethereum blockchain that you can go and trade and do DeFi with and stuff like that. But there is no native Bitcoin trading on any of these decentralized exchanges. In my opinion, what's the point of a decentralized cryptocurrency exchange if you can't even buy Bitcoin on there? With atomic swaps and Komodo Wallet is by far the best atomic swap DEX I've ever used. There are several others, but Komodo Wallet's been doing it the longest, and they do it the best in my opinion. With them, you can swap the native currencies, and there's hundreds of currencies on there. There's Bitcoin, Litecoin, Doge, all the big cryptocurrencies on there, and you control those funds. So it's also safe to store your funds there. If you're not the kind of person who wants a bunch of different wallets and remember a bunch of different passwords and everything like that, and a lot of people just store their money on exchanges out of convenience. Well, it's not safe to do that on a centralized exchange. With an atomic swap DEX, it is safe to do that because you control your keys. You control the keys, you control the coins, and you control the swaps. Now, there has been I feel like I have to bring this up, there has been some recent developments with Komodo Wallet. Most of the Komodo Wallet developers are, a lot of people involved in Komodo are in places where they are really cracking down on crypto, and they are making it illegal to do these type of atomic swaps, or any kind of they call it currency exchange, any type of currency exchange without KYCing all your customers, and they're literally throwing people in jail and prosecuting people in other parts of the world for this. So because of that, Komodo was forced to start doing KYC on their official release of Komodo Wallet, which is really disappointing to see. But it doesn't stop us because Komodo Wallet is open source. There's other versions of Komodo Wallet out there that still don't KYC. They still update their code and keep it all open source, so anybody can copy it and deploy it as their own. So there's already several other Komodo, you can call them forks for a better word. They're not really forks, they're more like white labels, but you can use one of the other white labels of Komodo Wallet to access it without KYC, and you still get the same liquidity because it all shares the same liquidity. There's several different Komodo Wallet dexes. The one we've been recommending is it's called Komodo Wallet Community Edition, and it's something that the Komodo and Pirate Chain community built and released. It looks exactly like Komodo Wallet, it operates exactly like Komodo Wallet, but it does not require KYC, yet it shares all the same liquidity as the official Komodo Wallet release. All of the different white labels of the Komodo Wallet all share the same liquidity. So like Firo, another privacy project, they have a DEX called Firo DEX that is a white label of Komodo Wallet. So if you're using Firo, if you're using Komodo Wallet Community Edition that Pirate Chain's been suggesting, you're still accessing the same orders. Like you could put in an order on Komodo Wallet, official Komodo Wallet release, and you could fill it on the Community Edition. So they're kind of covering their bases so they can continue to build and improve Komodo Wallet and give us access to these decentralized swaps. But their hand was forced to require KYC on their official release. So right now, we're suggesting people use the community Komodo Wallet Community Edition is what we call it.
Okay, that's amazing. I didn't know that about Komodo Wallet requiring KYC. Thank you for that. And it just shows the power of open source technology. That the governments can try and clamp down on it because they want their cut. They want to be able to extract from our labor and our efforts and our energy. But with open source technology, well, you have 1,000 flowers blooming. You can't. It's like playing whack-a-mole for them. So I mix my metaphors. Okay, now for people to find out Komodo Wallet, they can go to piratechain.com, go to the wallet section, and it will take you to all the other wallets, including the Pirate Chain's own wallets developed by the Pirate Chain crew, and other wallets that store Pirate Chain, like Edge Wallet and like the Komodo Wallet. And what Komodo Wallet allows for is I want to sell my Litecoin for Ethereum, or I want to sell my Ethereum for Pirate Chain. Ordinarily, that's not possible without going to a centralized exchange, but Komodo Wallet allows that to happen in a decentralized manner, so that either the transaction goes through for both parties or it doesn't go through at all. Which it's completely magical when Komodo came up with that. Just like when Komodo came up with Pirate Chain. Okay, what else about Pirate Chain? You want to tell us about the total supply, the speed of transactions, the halving?
Yeah, Pirate Chain, we have 1 minute block time, so that means on average your transaction will go through in about 1 minute. At max, it could be less than that. Every once in a while, a few seconds more or something like that. But it's incredibly fast. Your transactions go through. They'll show up on you. If you do a transaction to you right now, it'll show a pending transaction almost immediately, and then that transaction will confirm within 1 minute, and which is incredibly fast.
It is incredibly fast. Sorry, I just wanted to say just on that. That's faster than Bitcoin. It's faster than Ethereum, and it's faster than Monero.
Yep. Yep, it is about 10 times faster than Bitcoin. So it's incredibly fast with a privacy by default. And our the fee on a Pirate Chain transaction is 0.001 a Pirate Chain, so fraction of a penny. So with Pirate Chain, you can literally send a transaction to the other side of the world. I could send $1 million to China right now for less than a penny. Yeah. So for less than a penny, and in under a minute. And that is incredible. Like, a lot of people have been losing focus on what's truly incredible about cryptocurrency. And, they're getting caught up in NFTs, and there's people are doing some cool stuff out there. I'm not trying to diminish what they're doing, but the true power of cryptocurrency is that it's a payment network, payment networks. And to be honest, they are the best payment networks that have ever been built, because they are unstoppable and they are decentralized. If you go back a few years and tell people you can send millions of dollars to the other side of the world for less than a penny, in less than a minute, and nobody can stop that. You don't have to go through any intermediaries. You don't have to pay any extra fees for currency swaps and all this other stuff. You don't have to put gold on a boat and sail it over to China. You can literally send that value to them close to instantly and incredibly cheaply. And with a privacy coin, especially with Pirate Chain, it takes it a step further. You can do it with incredible privacy that nobody can see. Nobody can see it. Nobody can stop it. It's cheap. It's fast. And it's, quite frankly, the best payment network that's ever been built. It is far more superior than any kind of bank transfers, or some people might find Zelle or, PayPal or something like that convenient when they're sending $100. But look at that fee. That fee adds up. And if you're ever I sell cars, and when somebody wants to pay with PayPal for a car, and they're buying a $15,000 car, the transaction fee is hundreds of dollars, and it takes 3 days to get it to me, and it goes through several banks and stuff like that, and it's just all a headache. They use Pirate Chain. I get it in less than a minute, less than a penny. Nobody can stop it, and nobody can see it. And I think we really need to start focusing on how incredible of a technology that is. These are payment networks, and Pirate Chain's a payment network, and it is the best payment network that's ever been built, in my opinion. Nothing else comes close. Nothing can do this.
Yeah, that is incredible. I'm just thinking of all the conventional ways of transferring money. Using something like Western Union, PayPal, Revolut, or international bank transfers. All of them cost money. There's in the subcontinent, India, Pakistan, there's the hundi system, where there's a transaction that happens, say in Pakistan, where party A gives rupees to party B. Then over in the UK or the United States, there's an equivalent transaction in the local currency, but there's still a cut taken by the rentiers. The banks take a cut, Revolut takes a cut, PayPal takes a cut. Pirate Chain, fractions of a penny, moving millions of dollars across all sorts of boundaries, and it's completely private and secure. All right, thank you for that. Now, it's a proof of work coin. It has a halving. If you could say what the halving is, and what the halving schedule is, and what the value of that is.
The Pirate Chain, I can't remember the number of blocks in between the halving. I'm sorry, I don't have it up in front of me. But they happen rather quick.
How many days?
It's usually about 9 months. About 9 months it halves, which makes Pirate Chain incredibly scarce, especially at this point. It's basically it's not the supply, but the newly minted coins are chopped in half every 9 months, which makes Pirate Chain more and more scarce every single day, especially compared to other people. And I mean, it is kind of a double-edged sword, because you also want it to be profitable and stuff like that, but it does, put buy pressure on it because it is harder and harder to get Pirate Chain every year that goes by. And
Yeah.
we found this to be a superior way to, release our coins, just because a lot of people are looking for scarcity when they are looking at investments or in money. They don't want money that's printing more and more all the time. And with Pirate Chain, you get the most scarcity. You can be confident that the coins you have today, they're going to be more scarce tomorrow, and the next day and year after year they're going to be more scarce and scarce. So it's harder to get your hands on the Pirate Chain. So it
Yeah.
just makes it more rare. It makes it more rare and harder, not harder to get, but it puts a buy pressure on there that you can't just keep mining. The miners can't just keep mining coins and getting these huge rewards from it.
Yeah. And just on that, the people here may know about the Bitcoin halving schedule, which is every 4 years. The amount of new Bitcoin coming online, being minted, halves. So it was 50 and then it was 25 Bitcoin every 10 minutes, and then it was 12 and a half, and then 6 1/4, and now it's 3 1/8. And in 2028, it'll halve again to half of 3 1/8 for 4 years. Well, with Pirate Chain, the halving takes place every 9 months, which is about every 270 days. And it just reduces the new supply that's coming online. Unlike the biggest private cryptocurrency going, Monero, that is infinite supply, because there's no new Monero is forever going to be minted. There's no
Yeah.
halving; it'll just keep carrying on, which has its advantage and its disadvantages.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to crap on Monero. I love Monero personally. I use Monero all the time, and most of us pirates over here are also into Monero, and we use it, all the time. But yeah, they definitely took a different approach. They call it tail emissions, where they will always have new Monero being created, and they do this so that they feel like it will secure their hash power better by keeping the mining profitability up high, because there's always new coins being minted that the miners can use. Which I'm not necessarily saying that's wrong, but that is different from what Pirate Chain's doing, and that's why I think it's incredibly important to have more than one privacy protocol. And I think Monero and Pirate Chain are the two kings of the privacy space, of privacy cryptocurrencies. They're the best ones out there, and I think it's incredibly important that we're doing things a little bit different than Monero. Monero has the tail emissions. Pirate Chain chose not to do that. Monero is CPU mineable. They put ASIC resistance on it, which also has its costs and its benefits. It's just what I want to remind people, that everything has costs and benefits. And they also have a little bit longer of a block time. Their block time's 2 minutes, while Pirate Chain's is 1 minute. So they're doing a couple of these fundamental things differently, and that's why I think it's important to have more than one. They might end up being correct in having the tail emissions. They might end up being wrong, and it might put a bunch of sell pressure on them and affect the price over the years. They with their CPU being able to be mined with CPUs, that has lots of costs and benefits. The benefit is more people can participate in mining with their phones and stuff like that. The cost is it's far less efficient. You get way less, not an insignificant amount. You get a lot less hash power for the same amount of electricity used, and it makes the mining actually less profitable for everybody. It's hard to mine Monero profitably because you can't use ASICs, and there's lots of people just mining with their CPUs or GPU. You can also use GPUs, whereas people who have the money to buy GPUs, they can get more benefit. They can produce more hash power than the people with CPUs. So it still has that same effect, not quite as dramatic as ASICs, but still the people who have the money to buy the better machines get, more of the mining reward. But
Right.
it makes it less profitable for them, so a lot of the mining power, the hash power coming from Monero, isn't coming from businesses who are trying to make a profit. It's from people that believe in Monero and want to see it succeed, so they're contributing their hash power, even though they're making no money or very little money. They just want to do it for ideological reasons. And I personally believe it's a more secure way to mine is to make it profitable, so businesses compete, and to try to do it the most efficiently, just like it happens in the free market. I think it's more comparable to a free and open market, where the people who are doing it best, have access to the most resources, and can do it the most efficiently. They get to do it the most profitably, and it's having ASIC resistance is purposefully making the mining less efficient. You have less hash power for the amount of electricity used. And I like to compare it to gold. It'd be like going and making a law that gold miners could not use heavy equipment anymore. The gold miners could only use shovels, so that everybody could compete with, everybody could go out and mine gold if they wanted to, which that would just make gold, harder to get to. It makes the process less efficient. It would make it artificially more expensive. And everybody can see that, that has its downsides. And it definitely has its upsides too. More people can participate. It can make the mining more decentralized, but it definitely has its drawbacks, that it's less efficient, and it's purposefully, making the mining less efficient.
Yes. And there are trade-offs. There are trade-offs with Pirate Chain. There's trade-offs with Bitcoin. There's trade-offs with Monero. And I endorse what you said at the beginning, because you and I have discussed this before. We're not, we both support privacy cryptos. People should just get privacy cryptos. Take a look at this one. Take a look at that one. We're both fans of Pirate Chain. Now we need to finish up. I have one question. I have two questions for you. Okay. Where can I find the Pirate Chain rich list so I know who's got the most Pirate Chain?
You can't. Nobody knows. That's the beauty of Pirate Chain. There's no list out there showing you the biggest wallets. Nobody knows who has how much, or how much I have. Nobody knows who the biggest Pirate Chain whale is, or even the address associated with it, because it's 100% private. And I challenge anybody to try to figure it out. Go out there and try to tell me who the biggest holder of Pirate Chain is, and you can't do it. You will fail doing it. So
I don't recommend it. Go do something more fruitful instead. Like maybe go to piratechain.com, look through the website, do your due diligence, check it all out. Go to Komodo Wallet, or go to Trade Ogre or some of the other exchanges, and maybe get some R. Now, is there anything else you want to say before we finish up, Daniel?
I just want to highlight that, how easy to use Pirate Chain is. A lot of people think of crypto and think it's very confusing. They think of, these DeFi applications on Ethereum or something like that, where you have to bridge your coins and do all these different things. And I want to encourage people to check out coins like Pirate Chain. They are not that hard to use. You simply buy some Pirate Chain, send it to your wallet, and transactions are as easy as they are on PayPal or Zelle or anything like that. You scan a QR code, you enter the amount you want to send, and you hit send. And the way you secure your coins to make sure they're always safe is you just simply write down a seed phrase and put it in your safe. It's incredibly simple to use. Your grandma can use it. It's elegant and simple. There's no extra steps you have to go through. The only extra step I would recommend is maybe using a VPN. But a VPN with Pirate Chain, out of the box, it gives you the utmost privacy, the utmost simplicity. You don't have to jump through all these different hoops. It's fast, it's cheap, and it's easy to use. So the best way to learn about Pirate Chain is go download a wallet and use some, And I'll put out a call right now. If anybody listening to this call here in the next few days, you go download a Pirate Chain wallet and send me your address. I will send you a few coins so that you can do some transactions and see how simple and easy it is to use. You can reach out to me here on the official Pirate Chain Twitter, or you can go to Discord, or if you guys can see me, I think I'm in this call down there. Yeah, my name's Daniel down there. You can see a picture of my face. You can click on that. It's anarchy.gov is my handle here. Reach out to me. I'll send you a few Pirate Chain. You can do some transactions and see how simple it really is. Crypto is not as confusing as people make it think. So just go out there, give it a shot, and I'll show you how easy it is.
Fabulous. Now, that's the great thing about Pirate Chain. Is private, easy to use, secure. There are other projects that are connected to Pirate Chain, like armada.com, which is ARRMADA.com, and you can find that out. You can connect to it also from piratechain.com, and that lists businesses all over the world that accept Pirate Chain. Get your hair cut or buy a car or consultancy services. There's also barter.com, BARRTER.com, and you can find out about that from piratechain.com, which is like an eBay sort of website, membership only, and you can buy and sell goods and services using Pirate Chain. And next week, I'm going to be hoping to have on a decentralized virtual private network that actually allows you to pay for their services with Pirate Chain. So that dovetails nicely with what you said, Daniel, about using a VPN and Pirate Chain for maximum privacy. Daniel, thank you so much. I so appreciate you coming on. Thank you. Thank you to everybody who's listening. Thank you to the coinrepublic.com for hosting this space. And please do come and join me Saturday, the 29th of March, 4 p.m. UK time for our next X Space. Stay private, stay free. Bitcoin, Pirate Chain, love, not hate, freedom, not tyranny. Crypto Rich signing out. All the best. Bye-bye.